David with a single stone the great Goliath slew, but when he fucked Uriah's wife, he found he needed two.
There was an old farmer who lived by a rock. He sat in the meadow a-shaking his fist at some boys who was down by the creek. Their feet in the water, their hands on their marbles and playthings, and in days of yore there come a young lady who looked like a pretty young creature. She sat on the grass and pulled up her dresses and showed us her ruffles and laces and a nice little tuck. She said she was learning a new way to bring up her children and learn them to knit, while the boys in the barnyard were shoveling refuse from the stable. They worked day and night. If you think this is dirty, you're fucking well right.
This is a story of Dead-Eyed Dick. Now, he was the man with a corkscrew prick. He searched the world on a tragic hunt to find a girl with a corkscrew cunt. And when he found her, he fell down dead because her cunt had a left-hand thread.
Here dwells a pretty maid whose name is Sis. You may come in and kiss.
Here dwells a pretty maid whose name is Sis. You may come in and kiss. Here dwells a pretty maid. Her name is Sis. You may come in and kiss. You may kiss. You may kiss. You may kiss. You may kiss her if you come but near.
But you may kiss. You may kiss. You may kiss. You may kiss her if you come but near.
Wind and sky and sounding surf, and you and I and soissant nerf. How dear to my heart is the old-fashioned harlot, when fond recollection presents her to view. The madam, the whorehouse, the beer by the carlot, and e'en the delight of the old-fashioned screw. You may talk as you like of these new innovations imported from France and of which I've heard tell. But give me the natural carnal sensations of the old-fashioned harlot whose surname was Bell. How dear to my heart was the old-fashioned harlot as she lay legs outstretched on her sumptuous bed, while I, an impetuous, horny young varlet, drove my dink to the hub in her spoiled maidenhead. You may sing as you please of the old-fashioned bucket that hung or that swung in the moss-girdled well, but give me a strumpet with leisure to fuck it, like the old-fashioned harlot whose surname was Bell.
Some die of drinking whiskey, some die of drinking beer. Some die of diabetes and some of diarrhea. But of all the world's diseases, there's none that can compare with the drip, 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 drip of the British gonorrhea.
I pitched my day's leasings in Crimmercrock Lane to tie up my garter and jog on again, when a dear dark-eyed gentleman passed there and said, in a way that made all of me color rose red, "What do I see? Oh, pretty knee." And he came and he tied up my garter for me. Twixt sunset and moonrise it was, I can mind, 'tis easy to lose what we never more find. Of the dear stranger's home, of his name I knew naught, but I soon knew his nature and all that it brought. Then bitterly sobbed I that he should ever have tied up my garter for me. Yet now I've beside me a fine lissom lad, my slips nigh forgot and my days are not sad. My own dearest joy is he, comrade and friend, he it is who safeguards me, on him I depend. No sorrow brings he, and thankful I be that his daddy once tied up my garter for me.
With bated breath the dean undressed the vicar's wife to lie on. He thought it crude to do it nude, so he kept the old school tie on.
Gentlemen should please refrain from flushing toilets while the train is standing in the station for a while. We encourage constipation while the train is in the station. Cross your legs and grit your teeth and smile. If you wish to pass some water, you should sing out for the porter who will place a basin in the bog. Tramps and hobos underneath will get it in the eye and teeth, but that's what comes from being underdog.
If the lady's room be taken, do not feel the least forsaken, never show the sign of sad defeat. Try the gents across the hall, and if some man has felt the call, he'll courteously relinquish you his seat.
Passengers will please refrain from flushing toilets while the train is in the station. Darling, I love you. My occupation after dark is goosing statues in the park. If Sherman's horse can take it, why can't you?
My cock has been in many cunts, but never in more than one at once.
It fell on a day in the flowery month of May, all on a merry, merry morning. I met a pretty maid, and unto her I said, I would fain find your yellow, yellow Yorlin. Fain find your yellow, yellow Yorlin. Oh no, young man, says she, you're a stranger to me, and I am another man's darling. Wha has both sheep and cows that's feeding in the house, and a cock for my yellow, yellow Yorlin. A cock for my yellow, yellow Yorlin. But if I lay you down upon the dewy ground, you would not be the worse a farthen. And that happy, happy man, he never could ken that I'd played with your yellow, yellow Yorlin. Played with your yellow, yellow Yorlin. Oh, fie, young man, says she, I pray you let me be. I would not for £5 sterling. My mother would go mad, and so would my dad, if you played with my yellow, yellow Yorlin. Played with my yellow, yellow Yorlin. But I took her by the waist and laid her down in haste, for all her squeaking and squalling. The lassie soon grew tame and bade me come again, for to play with her yellow, yellow Yorlin. To play with her yellow, yellow Yorlin.
There are so many feather beds, so many little maidenheads. There's practically no excuse for sodomy or self-abuse.
There was a young man of Calcutta who practiced a curious trick. He greased up his asshole with butter and therein inserted his prick. He adopted this measure so shady, not for pleasure, nor power, nor pelf, but merely because a young lady had told him to go fuck himself.
The following are excerpts from a letter of advice to a young man by Benjamin Franklin. In all your amours, you should prefer old women to young ones. You call this a paradox and demand my reasons? They are these. 1, because they have more knowledge of the world, and their minds are better stored with observations. Their conversation is more improving and more lastingly agreeable. 2, because when women cease to be handsome, they study to be good. They learn to do 1,000 services, small and great. Thus, they continue amiable. 3, because there is no hazard of children, which, irregularly produced, may be attended with much inconvenience. 4, because through more experience they are more prudent and discreet. If the affair should happen to be known, considerate people might be rather inclined to excuse an old woman who would kindly take care of a young man, form his manners by her good counsels, and prevent his ruining his health and fortune among mercenary prostitutes. 5, because in every animal that walks upright, the deficiency of fluids that fill the muscles appears first in the highest part, the lower parts continuing to last as plump as ever, so that covering all above with a basket and regarding only what is below the girdle, it is impossible of two women to tell an old one from a young one. Sixth, because the sin is less. The debauching a virgin may be her ruin and make her for life unhappy. 7, because the compunction is less. The having made a young girl miserable may give you frequent bitter reflection, none of which can attend to making an old woman happy. 8th, and lastly, they are so grateful.
I saw a little burnished fly within my mistress' bodice lie, sipping lovely stolen sweets from her ample rosy teats. Small adulterer, said I, dost thou know where thou dost lie? 'Tis my lady's bosom fine, and thou dost sip what is not thine.
We are the Ropey Squadron, we are the Ropey Squadron, we are the Ropey Squadron early in the morning.
What shall we do with the squadron leader? What shall we do with the squadron leader? What shall we do with the squadron leader early in the morning?
Send him on a sortie in a U.S. aircraft, send him on a sortie in a U.S. aircraft, send him on a sortie in a U.S. aircraft early in the morning.
What shall we do with the squadron adjutant? What shall we do with the squadron adjutant? What shall we do with the squadron adjutant early in the morning?
Stuff his ass with bump and bullshit, stuff his ass with bump and bullshit, stuff his ass with bump and bullshit early in the morning.
What shall we do with the squadron doctor? What shall we do with the squadron doctor? What shall we do with the squadron doctor early in the morning?
Amputate his cock or toothache, amputate his cock or toothache, amputate his cock or toothache early in the morning.
What shall we do with the armament officer? What shall we do with the armament officer? What shall we do with the armament officer early in the morning?
Bash his balls in a Browning grease block, bash his balls in a Browning grease block, bash his balls in a Browning grease block early in the morning.
What shall we do with the sergeant pilot? What shall we do with the sergeant pilot? What shall we do with the sergeant pilot early in the morning?
Take no fucking notice of him, take no fucking notice of him, take no fucking notice of him early in the morning. We are the Ropey Squadron, we are the Ropey Squadron, we are the Ropey Squadron early in the morning.
Last night I stayed up late to masturbate. It felt so nice, I did it twice. Last night I stayed up late to masturbate. It felt so good, I knew it would. For you should see me working on the short strokes. I use my hand,
I use my hand,
it's really grand.
it's really grand.
You should see me working on the long strokes. It's really neat,
It's really neat,
I use my feet.
I use my feet. Smash it, beat it on the floor. Smite it, bite it, ram it through the door.
Oh, it's so neat to beat your meat while sitting on the toilet seat.
Isn't life divine, Funiculi, Funicula?
The sheepherder lay in the tall, tall grass, and his favorite dog lay close to his ass. Through a hole in his worn blue overalls, a toothless ewe was licking his balls. A magpie sat on the fence close by and watched the proceedings with wistful eye. The gun went off and the old ewe quit. The hound dog barked and the magpie shit.
Have you heard of Lydia Pinkham and her compound so refined? It turns bricks to flowing fountains and makes hunts grow on behind. Then we'll sing of Lydia Pinkham and her love for the human race.
Human race.
How she makes, she bottles, she sells her vegetable compound, and the papers, they publish her face.
Mrs. Jones had rotten kidneys, and she simply could not pee. So she swallowed, she gargled some vegetable compound, and now they pipe her to the sea.
Then we'll sing of Lydia Pinkham and her love for the human race.
Human race.
How she makes, she bottles, she sells her vegetable compound, and the papers, they publish her face.
Oh, little Johnny, the little bastard, through masturbation had lost his vim. So he swallowed, he gargled some vegetable compound, and now the rabbits envy him. Geraldine, she had no breastworks, and she could not fill her blouse. So she swallowed, she gargled some vegetable compound, and now they milk her with the cows.
Then we'll sing of Lydia Pinkham and her love for the human race.
Human race.
How she makes, she bottles, she sells her vegetable compound, and the papers, they publish her face.
Now Mr. Brown had a very small penis. He could hardly raise a stand. So he swallowed, he gargled some vegetable compound. Now he comes in either hand. Master Brown had very small testes. They were just like a couple of peas. So he swallowed, he gargled some vegetable compound. Now they hang below his knees.
Then we'll sing of Lydia Pinkham and her love for the human race.
Human race.
How she makes, she bottles, she sells her vegetable compound, and the papers, they publish her face.
Now that I'm old and feeble and my pilot light is out, what used to be my sex appeal is now my water spout. I used to be embarrassed to make the thing behave, for every single morning it would stand to see me shave. But now I'm growing older, and it sure gives me the blues to have the thing hang down my leg and watch me shine my shoes.
Yankee Doodle went to town and rode a spotted pony. They stuck a feather up his ass and called him macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, rode a spotted pony. Stuck a feather up his ass and called him macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to sea aboard a cuddy clipper. He filled his ass with broken glass and circumcised the skipper. Yankee Doodle, keep it up aboard a cuddy clipper. Filled his ass with broken glass and circumcised the skipper. Yankee Doodle went to town upon a load of lasses. He swore he could not see the town for the girls and their big asses. Yankee Doodle, keep it up on a load of lasses. Swore he could not see the town for the girls and their big asses. Yankee Doodle climbed a tree as high as any steeple, and there he sat the livelong day and pissed all over the people. Yankee Doodle, keep it up high as any steeple. There he sat the livelong day and pissed all over the people.
Sylvia the fair, in the bloom of 15, felt an innocent warmth as she lay on the green. She had heard of a pleasure, and something she guessed by the tousing and tumbling and touching her breast. She saw the men eager, but was at a loss what they meant by their sighing and kissing so close, by their praying and whining and clasping and twining and panting and wishing and sighing and kissing and sighing and kissing so close. Ah, she cried, ah, for a languishing maid in a country of Christians to die without aid. Not a Whig or a Tory or Trimmer at least, or a Protestant parson or Catholic priest, to instruct a young virgin that is at a loss what they meant by their sighing and kissing so close, by their praying and whining and clasping and twining and panting and wishing and sighing and kissing and sighing and kissing so close. Cupid in shape of a swain did appear. He saw the sad wound and in pity drew near, then showed her his arrow and bid her not fear, for the pain was no worse than a maiden can bear. When the balm was infused, she was not at a loss what they meant by their sighing and kissing so close, by their praying and whining and clasping and twining and panting and wishing and sighing and kissing and sighing and kissing so close.
With fond regrets, I now remember those happy days of youthful fun, when all my limbs were lithe and limber. Did I say all? Yes, all but one. Those happy days are gone forever, those happy days of youthful fun. Now all my limbs are growing stiffer. Did I say all? Yes, all but one. During the Civil War, gunpowder was very scarce in the Confederacy, and after resorting to almost every means to make up the shortage, the authorities finally hit upon urine as a source of supply. Accordingly, the following advertisement appeared in the Alabama Sentinel, published in Selma, Alabama. Quote, "The ladies of Selma are respectfully requested to save the chamber lye gathered around their premises, and barrels will be sent around to gather up the lotion," unquote. Signed, John Harrolson, Agent, Niter and Mining Bureau, Confederate States Army. Whereupon a Southern wag made up the following verses. John Harrolson, you are a funny creature. You've given to this cruel war a new and curious feature. You'd have us think while every man was born to be a fighter, the women, bless the pretty dears, should save their pee for nighter. John Harrolson, where did you get the notion to send your barrels round the town to gather up the lotion? We thought the girls had work enough in making shirts and kissing, but now you put the pretty dears to patriotic pissing. John Harrolson, pray do invent a neater and somewhat less immodest way of making your saltpeter. The thing's so very queer, you know, gunpowder-like and cranky, that when a woman lifts her skirts, she shoots another Yankee. They say there is a subtle smell that lingers in the powder, that when the smoke grows thicker and the din of battle louder, that there is found to this compound one serious objection. A soldier cannot sniff it without having an erection. Here's to the game of 20 toes. It's played all around town. The girls play it with 10 toes up, the boys with 10 toes down.
Old Dan Tucker was a fine old man, washed his face in a frying pan, combed his head with a hickory stick, lay down to die with a limber prick. So get out the way, old Dan Tucker, too late to get your supper. Supper's over, dinner's cooking, old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Old Dan Tucker was a fine old soul, buckskin belly and a rubber asshole. Swallowed a barrel of cider down, and he shit all over town.
So get out of the way, old Dan Tucker, too late to get your supper. Supper's over, dinner's cooking, old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Old Dan Tucker climbed a tree, so goddamn drunk he couldn't see. Stuck his pecker in a peckerwood hole, couldn't get it out to save his soul.
So get out of the way, old Dan Tucker, too late to get your supper. Supper's over, dinner's cooking, old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Old Dan Tucker come to town, flopping his pecker up and down. Says I'm going to pull my foot, the pussy in this town ain't no damn good.
So get out the way, old Dan Tucker, too late to get your supper. Supper's over, dinner's cooking, old Dan Tucker just standing there looking.
Left her his second best, left her his best of bed. Second best, left a bed.
The sexual life of a camel is more than anyone thinks. In fits of amorous passion, he frequently buggers the Sphinx. The Sphinx's posterior orifice is filled with the sands of the Nile, which accounts for the hump on the camel's back and the Sphinx's inscrutable smile.
My lady's coachman John, being married to her maid, her ladyship did hear on it, and to him thus she said,
My
I never
lady's
had a
coachman John,
wench so
being
handsome
married to
in my
her
life.
maid,
I
her
prithee
ladyship
therefore
did
tell
hear
me,
on it,
I
and to
prithee
him thus
therefore
she
tell
said,
me, how
and
got
to
you
him thus
such
she
a
said,
wife?
I
My
never
neighbor
had a
days,
wench so
and answered
married in my
Mary
life. I prithee
As my lord
therefore
got
tell
you,
me, I prithee
How
therefore tell me,
sad,
how got
why,
you
madame,
such a wife?
sad?
Just stared her in the face and answered very blunt.
I prithee,
as my lord
therefore
got
tell
you.
me, I prithee,
How's
therefore tell me,
that?
how got
Why,
you
by
such
the
a wife?
Punkt.
John stared her in the face and answered very blunt, e'en as my lord got you. How's that? Why, by the cunt.
Abraham Lincoln, according to his young law partner, Billy Herndon, never tired of telling this story about an adventure at the home of a Springfield host whom Lincoln called the Man of Audacity. The guests, having been engaged for some time in drinking punch and exchanging small talk, went to the dining room and took seats around a long table, at the head of which was ensconced a large Thanksgiving turkey. Grace was said by the host, who thereupon stood, carving knife and fork in hand, ready to demonstrate his skill. Under the hushed gaze of those present, the Man of Audacity attacked the turkey with a little too much vigor, and the resultant strain caused him to let a loud fart. The briefly interrupted silence was now compounded by embarrassment, with the guests lowering their eyes, fearful of catching a neighbor's glance. Lincoln thought to himself, how will the Man of Audacity, equal to any occasion, recover his poise? The host almost nonchalantly took off his coat, laid it on a chair, rolled up his sleeves, again took the knife and fork in hand, then, readdressing himself to the turkey, he said, now, by God, I'll see if I can carve this turkey without farting.
Bona Nox, what a clumsy ox. Bona Nox,
what a clumsy
good
ox.
night,
Bona Nox, you are potty.
wrap in bed,
Good night, white lady, your night. Good night, wrap in bed, your frock. Good night,
white lady, you are tired, gute Nacht, gute Nacht, wrap in bed, your cock, gute Nacht, soak your head,
Gute Nacht, wrap in bed, your crock, gute Nacht. Soak your head and get your ass to bed.
Oh, the bards they sing of an English king who lived long years ago. He ruled his land with an iron hand, but his mind was weak and low. He was used to hunt the royal stag within his royal wood, but was none but knew that his greatest sport was pulling his royal hood.
And his nether garb was a woolen shirt which used to hide his hide, but this undershirt couldn't hide the dirt that no one could abide. He was wild and woolly and full of fleas that humans ne'er could stand, and his terrible dong to his knees hung down.
The bastard king of England.
Now the Queen of Spain was an amorous dame, a sprightly dame was she, and she longed to fool with his majesty's tool so far across the sea. So she sent a note to the dirty king by a royal messenger, and requested his majesty sailing to Spain to spend a month with her. But when Philip of France got the news one day, he turned to all his court, and he said, my queen prefers this clown because my tool is short. So he sends abroad Marquis Syphilis Sap, who smacked the fairy land, to supply the queen with a dose of clap.
To trap our dear old England.
Then the news of this filthy deed was heard at Windsor's merry halls, and the king did swear he would have anon the Frenchman's greasy balls. So he offered the half of all his lands and the whole of Queen Hortense to the trusty lord of his English court, who'd not the king of France. So the loyal Duke of Essexshire betook himself to France. When he swore he was a fruiter, the king took down his royal pants. Then around his prong he tied a thong and gaily galloped along, till at last in Windsor's merry halls was a Frenchman and his dong. And the king threw up and he shit his pants, for in the lengthy ride the thong had stretched by a yard or more, the fucking Frenchman's pride. And then all the ladies of London town who saw the mighty stand cried aloud, to hell with the English crown.
And McPherson